Bree
and T,
and we're here to speak to you on the theme
Escaping the Death Sentence.
Today's scripture comes from Exodus chapter 2, verses 5 through 7 and verse 10. We're reading the NIV version today. It reads, Then Pharaoh's daughter went to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? Verse 10. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, I drew him out of the water.
So we're going to start with the initial sacrifice that was made by the mother of Moses. If she did not sacrifice her son, his life would have been spared and he would not have been able to accomplish all the many things he did in his life. Sometimes God requires us to sacrifice something that is important to us so that he is able to manifest it without us interfering. Next is the drifting, which is the journey from when Moses' mother let him go to when he reached the princess. Sometimes we feel like we're drifting through life and it seems like nothing is going for us. We have no goals. But God is actually blocking things from attacking us. Because while Moses was in the river, he could have been tipped over or something could have came and eaten him. But it didn't. And he was able to get to the princess safely. So don't be discouraged when it feels like you have nothing going for you. Because sometimes God is blocking so many things from getting to you negatively. Next is crying. So after the drifting, Moses was getting tired as he is a baby and he began to cry. Sometimes we cry out to God because we are so tired of everything that is going on and it seems like we have nothing left of us to give. But when we cry out to God, he will send someone to show us compassion, just like how Pharaoh's daughter showed compassion to Moses. When we receive this compassion, God shows us his love and his comfort in knowing that we are struggling, but he is still there with us. Next is our establishment. So after Moses was found, he was able to be put in a place where he is safe and that his life will not be spared. Sometimes God puts us in a place for a period of time after we've had a long journey of struggling. In this place, we learn things and we gain knowledge to help us in our next journey in our lives. So while Moses was in the palace, he was able to gain knowledge that will help him in pursuing everything else that happens in his life.
Where T left off, I think it's important to note that Pharaoh's daughter's position was providence. Even though she was going about her daily life and didn't really seem like she was part of God's plan, her strategic placement at the riverbank allowed her to see Moses, and it was just the right time. Sometimes we go about our daily lives, like T said, and we're just drifting about, and it seems like we have no purpose. But if we keep God at the forefront, he will direct our path, and we might not even know it. Secondly is the escaping part. So Moses' name means drawn from the river, but he wasn't just drawn from the river, he was drawn from death itself. Sometimes God has to use unconventional means to save us. So what does that mean? Sometimes that person in our office we don't like, the person in our house, our partner, sometimes it feels like when things aren't going according to plan. But we can trust that God will maneuver us so that his glory can shine through our situation. Lastly, what is so special about this verse and this scripture is that God's plan allowed Moses to return home. So his sister Miriam was standing along the side of the riverbank, watching over him to just make sure that he was okay. And when Pharaoh's daughter drew him from the water, she was able to jump in and say, hey, I can take him back to our own people to grow up to be fed by them. So even when it seems like we have to give up things initially, God will always return on his word. And it is, Moses had a twofold upbringing. One with his Hebrew family and nation, and the second in Egypt. And we know that the combination of both of those things gave him the qualities, like T said, to save an entire nation. So trust God's plan, and remember, he always has your back. And as our theme says today, were escaping the death sentence.